Good day, everyone. My name is Josephine Obonna. I'm a legal practitioner called to the Nigerian Bar. I'm based in Lagos State, Nigeria. Today, we're going to discuss or talk about who a company secretary is. So, generally, there's no straight jacket definition of who a company secretary is, but generally, you can say that a company secretary is that person who is in charge of ensuring that the company abides by the provisions of the corp, of the best corporate governance principles or practices. In Nigeria, these principles are embedded in the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance 2018 and in our Companies and Allied Matters Act, amongst other legislations that might be relevant. But these two pieces of legislations or documents are the primary and most important documents as it relates to who a company secretary is and what his or her duties are. So, as I said, there is no straitjacket definition. You would better understand who a company secretary is by looking at his or her qualifications and the roles and functions of such a person. Just a little story. So, some days back, somebody was telling me a story about their company secretary. So, in the course of the story, he was telling me, I got to understand that this person he was talking about is someone that possibly makes tea and serves the managing director. She schedules the managing director's meetings and ensures that his schedule and his calendar is not as tight and all of that. So while he was telling me all of this, I was confused. I asked him whether he meant the company secretary or the managing director's secretary. He said that was the difference. It's not the same thing. I told him no. From what you're telling me, it seems this person is the managing director's secretary or PA, but not the company secretary. So this misconception is a widely held one. It's not just this young man that was telling me the story. A lot of persons, that's the misconception they have about a company secretary. They think that a company secretary is a mere clerk, the MD's PA, or maybe the front desk officer that picks up documents as they come into the company. In fact, and this was the same position that the company secretary held under common law. He was basically, or he or she would basically be an administrative clerk or officer. But we've moved past that era. Today, a company secretary is a very important member of a company. In fact, a company secretary can take a decision that binds the company. So these are just the generics and a general introduction of who or what a company secretary is. Now, going into specifics, the Nigerian Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020 makes provision for the qualifications of a person the qualifications that the person who wants to be a company secretary of a public company must have. There are 5 of them. The first one is that either that the person is a member of the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, or the person has to be a legal practitioner, or the person has to be a chartered accountant, or the person must be a person that has held the office of a company secretary within 3 years of the 5 years preceding the time of appointment, or the person, or you can appoint a firm or a company of persons that fall within the first 4 categories. So a firm or a company comprised of a firm of legal practitioners, you can appoint such a firm as a company secretary. You can appoint a firm of chartered accountants as a company secretary. You can appoint a firm that is made up of just persons that are members of ICSAN. You can appoint such a firm as your company secretary. You can appoint a firm of persons made up of these persons that have held the office of a company secretary of a public company within a period of 3 years, 3 years preceding the 3 years preceding a 5-year period prior to the date of appointment. So either of these four persons, so far as they make up or they've come together to form a firm, you can appoint such a firm as company secretary. So it's not just a human being that can, a natural human being that can be a company secretary. A firm or a company can also serve as another company's secretary. Now, that being out of the way, the Companies and Allied Matters Act also makes provision for the roles or functions of a company secretary. This provision is made in section 335 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, and the first duty or function of a company secretary is to attend the meetings of the company, which would include the board meetings, the annual general meetings, and even sometimes the management meeting of the company. A company secretary has to attend these meetings, has to take minutes of meetings, have to provide legal and governance and compliance advice to the board or the members or management in such meetings, and basically provide all necessary secretarial functions at such meetings. Also, the second rule of a company secretary is that he must maintain the registers of the company. Such registers would include documents like the register of members, the register of directors of company, the auditor's reports, the company's financial statements, the board evaluators reports, and all of these documents, among others, would the company secretary has the responsibility of maintaining these registers and documents. Also, the company secretary has the responsibility of filing returns on behalf of the company. So if there are substantial changes, like changes in the shareholding structure of the company, changes in the board of directors of the company, maybe a person is leaving or a person is joining, change in the address of the company, changing allotments of shares, any returns at all that needs to be made to the Corporate Affairs Commission. It is the responsibility of the company secretary to ensure that these returns are filed. Also, the company secretary has the responsibility of carrying out any other administrative or secretarial functions or duties that would be required of such a person by the board of directors or the management, the company as a whole. So basically, these are the four functions of a company secretary as provided for by the Corporate Companies and Allied Matters Act. For short, we call it CAMA. So anytime you hear CAMA, I mean the Companies and Allied Matters Act. Now, remember I mentioned that the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance 2018 is also a primal and very important document for determining what the rules of a company secretary is. This document has made provision also for some other roles or duties or functions of the company secretary. These duties have been described, or you can refer to them as the strategic functions of the company secretary, and these functions are provided for in Principles 8 of the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance. That's Principle 8, sub-principles 6 and 7, and these responsibilities include providing guidance to the board of directors, inducting and training new directors, assisting the chairman in coordinating the activities of the board, notifying the board members of meetings of the board, compiling board papers for board meetings, providing just being a central source of guidance and advice to the board, and ensuring that good information flow is provided. There is a good information flow within the board as a board and its committee, and between senior management and the board. So these 7 things are listed are the strategic functions of the company secretary as provided for in the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance 2018. So once you see a person in any organization providing these duties, you know that this person is the company secretary of such a company. So I hope with all of this that you would be able to spot or highlight who a company secretary is, or where you have a company secretary, at least you now know what he or she is supposed to be providing for you, the duties or the function or the services they're supposed to be providing. So I hope that this much makes sense to you and it's something that is resourceful to you. If there are more things you want to add or you want us to talk about, please let us know in the comments section. Please continue to engage, like, subscribe, and share our videos. And I will see you in our next videos. Thank you very much.